I had it all. Like, really, everything. A great job, wonderful kids, a beautiful wife. I was moving up in the world, and nothing could stop me. But then, something happened. I began losing it all. My job, my wife. Soon my children will probably begin to hate me as well. I feel like I'm crumbling to pieces, and no matter how quickly I try to fix the damage, I can't seem to stop the inevitable. I need something new. A break from all of this. This is Red Moon Role-Playing.
And you hear someone fiddling with the lock downstairs.
I try to catch up.
You see a shape, and something is opening the door and moving out of there.
I continue rushing after her.
Alright. You can roll to act under pressure.
16.
The rain is smashing you in the face. And your eyes. It's hard to see where you're running as you're going through the town. But you're pretty sure they just rounded a corner over there. You run and...
Yeah, I just keep running after her. Peter, come on, wait. Man, I need to talk to you.
Yeah, why is it that everyone is running from you these days? You see them drop something, and then jumps over a fence into a bit of someone's backyard.
I pick up the thing that he dropped. He's gonna want that.
It's a note wrapped in plastic. It's like someone had prepared something to be placed. You can't really see. It's raining a lot. If you take it out, it'll get drenched.
I'll have to have a look at that later, I guess. I try to look over this fence that he jumped over, try to see if I can still see him.
Wherever he is, you have no idea where, and you're getting quite wet. If it was Peter, he'll come back. Maybe you can call him later.
Yeah.
But right now his front door is standing open and the lights are on.
I have to go back inside and lock it, and I'll have a look at this note as well. Maybe he wanted to leave me a message. I realize, of course, how crazy all of this is, but there's just something about me that wants to believe that he was here, and that it's just not me losing it, and not my mind falling to pieces from triggered by what had happened at my grandma's place, having had my children taken from me yet again. At least they won't take Peter from me. No, they won't. They won't.
No. And you, if someone was there, you will make sure things are right. And if it was Peter, you'll get your chance. You get back and you turn off the lights. It's a bit of a mess, really, where you came in, and because you went through his garden, there's a bit of mud and stuff. Do you bother to clean that up?
Yeah, I can't leave the place a mess. My parents taught me better than that. Yeah, no, I clean it up and I try to make it nice for him. Maybe I even clean a little bit extra, because it was a bit messy when I came there already. And when I finish cleaning, I look at this note.
You take out the note out of the plastic pocket that was there, and it seems to be half written. It says, it's a picture of someone carrying a shield, an old medieval knight, and there's a hastily scribbled, "Don't forget what you're supposed to protect."
I don't know that really means anything to me. Maybe it's a message for Peter.
You don't really know. You used to... I don't know if they had anything to do with his latest book. What was his latest book about? Peter, can you tell us?
It's a story about a man trying to solve a murder committed in a museum, but he suspects that actually there's something more serious afoot, a big conspiracy, if you will. I don't normally do conspiracy-type stories. I find them a little bit difficult, and I'm not a keen researcher on police work in that field. But I don't know. I've been kind of trying to broaden my horizons a little and move away from my protagonists in my previous books, who have all been people who don't really know what's going on, just trying to figure things out on themselves. I'm trying to give someone a little bit of background, professionalism in this book. The working title is Last Watch.
The Last Watch. Yeah, you remember that. Damon, The Last Watch. Is it Peter going a bit crazy, leaving notes for himself, and feeling embarrassed? You don't know. It all feels very murder mystery-like.
Yeah. It really does. Well, he wasn't here. I suppose I should be getting back to Grandma. Gotta get that steak ready.
You get back and find the umbrella. You lock the door and... well, there's no extra key. I suppose you'll have to climb out through the window again.
Yeah, I do that, and then I close the window. I guess I can't lock it from the inside, but well, at least it will be closed. Hopefully no one will get the idea to try to rob the place.
Yeah. No, probably not. Not here. Probably not. And hopefully there are some old clothes that your granddad left behind. Or maybe even your dad that you could slip into now that you're all soaked.
Yeah.
Peter. That night, you have made your way back to the village and the place you're staying at. It's like a guest house, adjacent to the family's house, who is letting you stay there for a modest compensation through the travel company. Its construction is mainly wooden and it seems quite old. The house doesn't have any facilities, the one that you're staying in, as they are mainly in the other house, the family's house, where your lovely Nepalese host family cooks your meals and tries their best to make you feel at home. The kids are used to guests, but yeah, they show little interest in you except for trying to selling you pretty colored bracelets that they've made. Have you bought one?
Of course I have. I wouldn't exactly be able to resist their charms that easily. They're nice kids.
Yeah.
And, you know, they need it. I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. You're pretty certain that it's going to go to the family coffers anyways. And they're a lovely family. They make really nice food and they made you feel very welcome. Some mats have been rolled out and you're a few people in the company sleeping here in the same room. Unfortunately, that's still what your budget stretches to, but it's something else. You can hear the calm breathing of the others. It's dark, but you're having a little trouble sleeping yourself. It's almost as if you're in that perfect spot where the wind from outside seems to wander through the room. What are you thinking of?
I'm staring at the ceiling, trying to ease myself to sleep, but it's difficult, isn't it? I start thinking of my mantra that Dr. Lexington gives me for times like this. You think of nonsense words and they can distract your mind and make you think better, make you relax. 2 dogs, one says to the other, life is like a piece of cheese. It's silly, but you keep thinking things like that and eventually you should just get tired and fall asleep. At least sometimes works. Not always, I find.
You find yourself giggling a little bit at the nonsense that you come up with. That doesn't really help. You look at the dogs in your mind. You look at the piece of cheese. And you see the rats crowding around the dogs. They want the cheese. And the dogs start growling, feeling threatened. It's a horde of rats. You can't see the end of it. They're a dark mass crawling. Oh, you need to write. What do you do?
I get out of bed and take out my notebook. It's a silly idea, but I don't know. Again, that's where my mind takes me, and maybe that will help. I sometimes find that if I try and focus on this sort of thing, it goes away. So, alright then, let's write it down. 2 dogs surrounded by rats. Why are there dogs and rats? Maybe the body was hidden in the larder and the dogs sniff it out, revealing the corpse.
It's so dark in here, you can't see what you're writing.
Is there... You know what, I'm going to have to go outside. I can't turn a light on in here, I'll wake people up.
You can go into the family home.
I'm dressed. I shall go and do that. I'll stand up and make my way out of the room so I can get a bit more light from maybe the outside corridor or something like that.
Yeah. It's a nice evening. It's not that cold now that you're not lying still anymore. And the lights are on in the kitchen. There seems to be someone up still from the host family, cleaning things up.
Well, I won't bother them. Instead, I'll find a little place to perch. And now I can see what I'm writing. Although, now I think about it, the inspiration's gone.
Yeah. The moment passed. You look around. It's a small village. It's very quaint. It's an interesting architecture here. This Asian style. Maybe it'll bring you with you something. It's almost as if you feel more comfortable here, on this little bench you found. Maybe you should just lie down for a bit here instead.
Well, I don't think I'd lie down, that seems a bit bohemian for me, but maybe I could just have a sit, and I shall. And as I do so, I shall think about... What will I think about? You know what, actually, I know exactly what I'll think about. I'll think, despite everything on this journey being very pleasant, I really am missing my mobile phone, and I'm missing my computer, if I'm honest with you. It's strange not at least checking the forums once or twice a day.
Yeah, the forums where you publish your writing, and where you get the most of your acclaim as well. All the people there that are rooting for you, asking for you to publish something new, even if it's just a tidbit, even if it would just be something that is inspiring you in the moment, like the dogs and the cheese.
Exactly.
It's nice, isn't it?
It's wonderful. Shows the time we live in, to be honest with you. I think when I started back in the 90s, the idea of getting published because people saw you on a computer, completely crazy. And when I first even thought of writing for my therapy, you know, he said, write letters to publishers, but I just didn't have the courage. And then I just went online, and suddenly one of the people on a forum was a publisher. They liked my work. It went from there. I really do think that's going to be the future, you know. But as I'm thinking these things, I'm just sitting back, idly looking at whatever the view is.
You are at the base of a mountain, so you can look up at the mountain. As the night sky forms, you see more stars than you ever would in London, for example. Think of the reasons why you decided to stay out in the countryside. Well, countryside. Southern-on-Sea isn't really countryside, but it's not London either.
Oh, it's so open out here. There is something, I think, that is very pleasant about it. But I don't know, I think I am starting to look forward to going home. Getting back to work. Maybe.
Yeah. And getting a bit of your own space. You feel it's been nice to be with Noemi, but every day, all this time, it's not giving you much space for personal reflection or the things that you have started doing.
Exactly.
It's nice and all.
I almost feel a little stifled, which is crazy because maybe I spent too long being by myself. Again, Dr. Lexington, he wouldn't approve. But maybe I do need to get out of my comfort zone. Oh, I don't know. I start getting a little agitated at myself, thinking, why spoil such a lovely evening thinking these sort of things?
Yeah. Why spoil it? Damon, you get back. You are once again in the kitchen. The steak has thawed a bit. Your grandmother is watching the news instead. And you have slipped into some warm, comfortable clothes. And you stand there once again in the kitchen, once again with the cutting board and the knife. And somehow what you just did, somehow the whole physical ordeal of running through the rain, even though it was a very strange experience, has taken your thoughts away from your family and that situation. And the urgency of making food for your grandmother gives you focus. And as you feel that you have it, that you're in the normal zone, it's almost as if something grabs a hold of your elbow and your other elbow. You don't see what, but something is steering your hand, and you are taking the knife, you're putting your left hand down, and you're slowly starting to cut your way through your left index finger, the tip of it. It hurts like hell.
I scream, if I can.
You try to scream, but you can't. Roll to keep it together.
6.
You are not sure what's happening. You find yourself staring at the window where you have written the words, "Hold your head up, Damon." Drawn with your own blood. You're still holding the kitchen knife in one hand, and you can see the stump of your finger on the bloodied cutting board in front of you. You're a mess. It's all falling apart. You can lose 2 stability. "What's going on with you?" asks Vera. "Look what a mess you've made." And she goes over and she calmly starts brushing away what you've drawn on the window with a towel. As if this was just you dropping your toys on the floor or scribbling something on a drawer.
I'm sorry, Grandma. I don't know what got into me. It's bleeding.
It is bleeding. It's bleeding quite heavily. Oh, goodness sake. And she calmly goes over to the wardrobe. She takes out the first aid kits and she starts handing it over to you. You know what to do, don't you?
Yeah. And I begin trying to bandage the cut, try to stop the bleeding.
And you sit down, shaking, holding yourself. The bleeding doesn't stop until you wrap it very firmly. you think that maybe you should go to the A&E with this. It's a bit of your tip of your finger has gone off just by the nail. Maybe they should have a look at it.
Yeah, maybe they should.
Yeah.
Grandma, I need to go and just get this checked out. It's a lot worse than I first thought.
Oh, well, why don't you go see Jill? She lives down the road. She's got her own practice down there.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'll do that. It'll be easier.
You do so, and you get there through the rain. So many things going through your head. And you meet Jill, and she's nice. She's maybe 15 years your senior. She doesn't ask any questions, really. These things could happen. Someone cuts a bit off their finger. She wraps it and talks about how there's no use trying to put the other half back. But you'll be alright in time, though you're lucky you're not left-handed. As you come back to your grandmother's, safely wrapped on your finger, you find that she has already finished making the dinner that you had started. Probably not as good as you would have made it, but it smells nice, and she looks happy to have you back. You sit down. Do you eat?
I try to. What just happened, I can't quite explain it, but I don't know. I suppose it just kind of becomes part of everything that's been happening to me lately. Yet another part of me that is cut away. I become less and less for every day. Less and less left of me.
You do. Will people suddenly stop recognizing you? Will you turn into no one?
That's what I fear.
Do you want to sleep here tonight? You can sleep in your father's old office. Sofa bed is there, as always.
Yeah. If I could, that would be great.
And as you finish dinner, she starts putting things away as you get into the old office of your dad. With its old furnishings, there wasn't much that he wanted to keep for his new life. Having been able to invest in that nice mansion where you spent most of your childhood. Having helped his mother, your grandmother, pay off any bills of the house, he was happy for it to stay the way that it was. And this was usually where you slept when you and your parents came to visit. They would sleep in the main bedroom while Vera would take to the guest room. She doesn't seem to have felt the need to clean it out for any other use, so it's pretty much as you remember it. You suspect this might have been your granddad's office once.
Yeah.
There are certificates, diplomas, thank yous from various work partners along the walls. I've seen them a million times. Dark wood furniture, bookshelves, a desk, windows outside. And at the bottom of the bookcase is a box with some of your dad's old toys. Things you've played with 100 times when you didn't bring your own. Maybe sometimes it was actually nice to play with something that wasn't your normal toys. What do you find in there?
I think I find a car. It's a really exquisite kind of metal, old-timey sports car.
That was the one toy that you didn't really get to play with. It was usually left on the shelf as he took out the rest of the toy box. Put it on one of the high shelves.
I never really got to play with it the way that I wanted to play with it, and now it's here, and he's not here to stop me from doing whatever I want with it.
It's comforting in a way. You line up the other toys there as well on the floor. Sort of taking a moment of going back to another time. Less a more carefree time.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to escape into that. I think that's why I come here. To be able to just escape from all of the responsibilities and everyone that I'm failing in the real world.
Who are you? What are you doing in here? Your grandmother is standing in the doorway. She has the kitchen knife in her hand. It seems like your blood is still on it. She's staring at the space opposite you. As you follow her gaze to where she is looking, the little car falls over.
I move out of her way. Grandma?
That's it. Go on, get out. Vera is following something with her gaze as if it was getting up and running past her. And then she hurriedly leaves the room.
Huh.
What do you do?
I follow after. And Grandma? Be careful with the knife.
She is walking quite hurriedly after whatever she is seeing. You hear the door open and then closed as you catch her. She seems a bit flustered. I don't know what he does in here, that child. I don't want you playing with him, Damon.
No, I won't. Who is he?
Oh, that boy, that other Mediterranean boy. She goes and leaves the knife and then seems to want to go back into she starts heading back into the office. What have you done taking these files out? And she starts ruffling a few files that are lying on the desk. You're not supposed to look at these things. Did you take those files out?
No, I didn't. I just touched the sports car, the toys. That's all I touched.
She gives a harumph and puts some things back into a drawer of the desk. Oh, Damon, when all you're finished with playing with the cars, you can go to bed. I'm going to go to bed myself now, and I'll see you in the morning.
All right. Yeah, I'll see you in the morning, Grandma. Good night.
Good night. She closes the door as she leaves. You're sitting there, or you're standing there, seeing the bowled over car on the floor along with the other lined up toys and the drawer that she hastily closed half open.
Yeah, and I began moving towards the drawer that contains those files, the thing that had been taken out. Whatever this thing is, this thing, maybe it was over at Peter's place as well. Maybe it made its way over here too. But what was it looking for? What was it trying to find in here? And I try to find those files.
You realize how open your mind suddenly is, maybe desperate to find explanations of what's going on. Things in houses. You know, Vera has always been a bit strange. She seems to sometimes have these fits where she sees something she thinks. It doesn't happen very often and made many people not really like her. You know, your dad never really liked his mother. She was strange. But you take the file out that she put in there. It seems to be a notice of a transaction from a company called Kuchnisev. The address appears to be Bosnian. What do you know about your dad's work? Or your mum's, for that matter. They did work closely together on a lot of things, after all.
Oh, they were lawyers, and they represented clients from, well, all kinds of places, really. I didn't really know who, but I know they were paid well.
They were paid well. And their work discussions were often in line with what they were going to do next, and this and that, and names flew, and you never really paid attention to what was what. It was not the line of work that you really wanted to pursue yourself, was it? What did you work with?
No, I mean, I wanted to go into business, and I mean, I was a management consultant, helping companies to become more efficient and get a better bottom line. You know, worked with a lot of CEOs, that kind of stuff, consultancy, business really. But yeah, no, I wasn't much into the legal stuff, and I desperately wanted to not do what my parents did. Whatever it was that they were doing, it didn't make them happy, and I suppose if I went into something else, that might make me able to avoid their fate. But I guess it didn't.
Looked very good for a very long time. So it did for them, you suppose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this looks like it's just one of many other work things. Something that you've never really looked into. I suppose you could if you wanted to, but...
Well, I don't really have any way of looking into it, but
There could be a dictionary on the shelf.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to do right now, so I go to grab that, and I begin looking through this. As I said, I'm desperate to solve some kind of mystery, to make sense of some aspect of what is happening and what just happened in the kitchen. I mean, it's just getting worse. But perhaps the answers are here. I mean, that thing that my grandma saw. There must be something important about this.
There must be. And you spend your night looking through things, going through documents, getting a lot of insights into names of companies that your parents worked with. All of it seems very vague. None of it really gives away anything, any purpose. Kuchnisef means home safe in Bosnian. That's really all you find out about that. Well, you could talk to your dad at some point, perhaps, you don't know. And again, it took your mind off things. It's always helped you diving deep into something, working hard, whatever it is, to move on with things. Not like Peter, who seems to get drawn into it. But he's doing alright. Somehow he's doing alright, despite the way he's dealing with it. And Peter, the flight home goes well. You find yourself having your girlfriend leaning on your shoulders as you are eating some of the momos, some sort of steamed dumpling that the family gave to you on the plane. It's quite delicious. And the trip goes easily enough. You get back to London. You get on an airport bus. You say goodbye to Noemi, and you start the journey on the airport bus. And it seems slower than ever now that you just want to get back to your work and get things down on paper, get into your forums, get into everything. As you're rolling into your hometown on the bus, you see Damon's car. He seems to be on his way to drive the opposite way. He's down there. You haven't seen him in a while.
Well, yes, especially here in Southend. That's interesting. He must be visiting his grandmother or something, I guess. Would be my guess.
But it's only him in the car.
Oh.
Where's the family? He's waiting at a red light.
Well, I doubt he'll see me. Besides, I'm heading home, but I guess if he's in town... It could be nice to give him a ring. I'll have to make a note of that when I get back in.
Damon, you do see Peter as you're sitting there in your car the day after, trying to rub the sleep from your eyes with your coffee thermos next to you. You see him sitting in a bus, on a travel bus, coming the other direction.
Oh, I try to. Well, I try to keep my eye on the bus, and then I try to turn around and follow. I don't know if I know where the bus is heading, but I try to follow after. I need to see him. I need to talk to him.
Yeah, you wheel around and wince at the pain of your finger, and you catch up with the bus, and out comes Peter.
Peter!
I look a little surprised to see that I guess you sort of drive up by the bus stop in your car. Yes.
Yeah.
How do you guys usually greet each other? Do you have a hug, a secret handshake, normal handshake? What do you do?
Oh, I have a feeling we grew out of secret handshakes many, many, many years ago.
Yeah, we did.
I feel it's more, I sort of stop getting off the bus, seeing it go, seeing him, and I'm like, "Oh, Damon, hello, how are you? Strange to see you driving by. What are you doing down in Southend?"
I just run up and I give him a hug. Oh, Peter.
Just as you see Damon running up to you, and just as he's about to hug you, you get a strong instinct, that a primal urge that no, don't hug, no. Your whole being, and possibly the air around you, tells you that this is a bad idea. Stay away. What do you do?
Take a few steps back quite quickly and just sort of say, "Damon, what's wrong?" Holding my hands up, like, "Calm down. How you all right?"
Damon, this feels strangely familiar. Yeah, this is the way your kids looked at you before you had to leave the house. This is the way your boss looked at you when he fired you. This is the same way your old colleagues looked at you when you went to say goodbye. This is the way your wife looked at you when you were respectfully asked to leave the house.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played the campaign The Judas Grail for KULT Divinity Lost. The Judas Grail was written by Gary Fay and was published by Target Games in 1996. The music was made by Atrium Carceri and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Ludwig Manford, and Robin for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want early access to our content and to hear raw versions of our recordings right after we've done them, or join a campaign of KULT Divinity Lost as a player, please check out our higher level tiers on Patreon. It's a great way to get more Red Moon roleplaying in your life and help us keep the show going. Thank you again for listening, and do remember that death is only the beginning